The countdown to her end begins. The room was cold and white, filled with soft lights and the quiet hum of machines. Zayara lay still on the bed, her thin arms resting by her side. Her silver-blue skin looked pale, even for her species. A small screen near her head blinked slowly, counting down the final 72 hours of her life. This was not a prison. It was worse. It was a place where people came to die, by choice or by the command of the law. Zayara belonged to a race called the Thalari, an ancient alien species that believed in perfection and contribution. If someone was sick, weak, or no longer useful to society, they were sent to this special care facility. They called it the Last Rest, but everyone knew it was a silent execution center. She had accepted it. She had to. Her body had started failing, a year ago. No medicine worked. The doctor said she was biologically expired. According to her people, that meant one thing: scheduled euthanasia. But deep inside, Zayara didn't feel expired. Not yet. Across the galaxy, a human scientist named Dr. Caleb Morgan arrived at the facility as part of a special health exchange program. Earth had recently signed a cooperation treaty with the Thalari government. As part of that deal, some doctors were allowed to visit alien medical centers for study. Caleb was tall, with calm eyes and a tired look, like someone who had seen too much but still cared too deeply. He walked through the hallway with a translator device on his ear. His boots echoed with each step as he followed a nurse who spoke in a robotic tone. This is the recovery wing. Most patients here are non-curable. Please do not interfere with any euthanasia protocols. He nodded but kept his eyes open. Something about this place gave him a strange feeling. So quiet. So final. Suddenly he stopped. Through the glass window of room 47, he saw her, Zayara. She was staring up at the ceiling, her silver eyes reflecting the light. But what caught his attention wasn't her sickness. It was her expression. Calm, but not empty. Sad, but alive. He whispered to the nurse. "Who's that?" The nurse shrugged. "Patient Zayara, classified as non-productive. Countdown already started." "How long does she have?" 72 Earth hours. Caleb kept staring. Something inside him stirred. He stepped closer to the door. Suddenly, Zayara's eyes moved. She looked at him, right into his eyes. And then, with a weak smile, she said something through the speaker. "You're human, right?" Caleb blinked in surprise. "Yes, I am." She took a breath. "Then maybe you can help me with my last wish." He frowned. "Your last wish?" Zayara nodded slowly. "Before I die, I want to try the human reproduction method." For a moment, the air felt still. The nurse gasped. Another doctor nearby dropped his tablet. The translator repeated the words clearly as if it didn't understand the weight. Caleb stood frozen. Zayara smiled softly again. "Is that strange to ask?" The room around them fell into silent shock. A few laughed nervously. One called it madness. But Caleb didn't laugh. He didn't look away. Instead, he took a step closer. "Why would you ask something like that?" She looked down, her voice softer now. "Because I dream in your language. I feel things I cannot explain. My body may be weak, but my heart is curious." The nurse shook her head and pressed the alarm. "Enough. She's not well. Her brain must be failing too." Guards moved forward to close the door, but Caleb raised a hand. "Wait, just 1 minute." He looked back at Zayara, something pulling at his heart. "Do you mean physically? Or are you just asking emotionally, scientifically?" Zayara smiled again. "Maybe both. Maybe just to know what it feels like to be truly alive, before I'm not." The door shut with a soft hiss. Caleb stood in the hallway, now alone, the echo of her words ringing in his ears. A dying alien girl had just asked him to give her the one thing no one else could. a human experience of connection. But why? And what did she really mean? As he walked back toward the visitor quarters, Caleb couldn't shake off one feeling. This wasn't just a random wish, it was a call for help. And maybe it wasn't just about her death. Maybe it was about something much bigger. The night on Thalari Prime was quiet, but Dr. Caleb Morgan couldn't sleep. He sat alone in the visiting lab, the stars outside glowing through the large window. In front of him floated Zayara's medical file, a holographic document that should have been cold and clinical. But something inside it didn't make sense. She was marked as genetically failing, but deeper in the code, buried under layers of alien script, Caleb found something human. He zoomed in. Hidden in her DNA report was a broken strand marked with an ancient Earth genetic signature. Part human origin? His heart skipped a beat. Was she part of a hybrid experiment? If so, why hadn't they told anyone? Why was she left to die? Caleb backed away from the terminal. His fingers trembled slightly. This wasn't a normal patient, he whispered. She's not asking to reproduce like a joke. She might be designed for it. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A soft robotic voice echoed from the wall. Unauthorized access logged. Medical records restricted. Caleb shut off the terminal. The next morning, Caleb returned to room 47, but this time the glass door was locked, the inside lights dimmed. Zayara was awake, her head turned toward him. She didn't smile. Her eyes looked tired, almost scared. He leaned toward the intercom. Zayara, why did you really ask me that question? Her voice came back small and slow. Because you're the only one here who doesn't look at me like trash. Caleb's throat went dry. You're not trash. I am to them. I'm broken. But in my dreams, I feel fire, warmth, emotion. It's all human. So before they erase me, I wanted to feel something real. Maybe even feel like I matter. Before he could respond, 2 guards walked up behind him. One handed him a formal warning document. Human visitor Caleb Morgan, the tall alien officer, spoke coldly. Your interaction with patient Zayara broke 3 protocols. You are not to contact her again. Caleb tried to speak, but the alien stepped closer. She is scheduled for termination in 64 hours. Nothing you do can stop it. Do not involve yourself. Caleb stared at the guards, then turned to look one last time at Zayara. Her lips moved slowly, not on the speaker this time. He read her words. Please don't forget me. Later, back in the medical research bay, Caleb met with Dr. Hernas, the alien director. She's not fully Thalari, Caleb said boldly. I found human DNA markers in her genome. Dr. Hernas frowned. You shouldn't have looked that deep. Why? Is it hidden? Because it's a failed project. Long ago, we tested cross-species hybrids. Most died. Some were left to live in secret. She is one. Then why is she being killed? She's unstable, emotionally broken. She cannot contribute to society, Caleb stood. What if her emotional connection is the key to healing her? She responded strongly when I spoke with her. Her brain activity spiked. Hernas leaned forward. Emotional activity is not a cure, it's a side effect. We deal in facts, not feelings. Caleb clenched his fists. Then your facts are killing her. That night, Caleb broke the rules again. He snuck back to the storage wing and entered the dream simulation room, a restricted lab that could create emotional memory, simulations in safe conditions. He set it to mimic emotional bonding and warmth, not physical contact, but shared memories. Then he slid a chip into the control panel. Zayara's identity data. He activated a message to be delivered directly to her dreams. If you still want your last wish, meet me in the simulation tomorrow. One try, one chance. No one needs to know. He knew it was dangerous, but he also knew she had more life left in her than anyone believed. And maybe, just maybe, so did he. The next evening, room 47 was quiet again, but not empty. Ziara sat upright in her bed for the first time in weeks, her thin fingers holding a small chip that had somehow appeared under her pillow. No name, no sound, just a glowing symbol, the Earth emblem. Her heart beat faster. She knew what this meant. Dr. Caleb had broken more than just protocol. He had broken through the silence around her. She looked toward the ceiling, where the dream injection port sat ready. The nurse had already activated the regular sedation. They thought she'd sleep quietly. But Ziara was not going to sleep. She was going to feel. In a hidden simulation room buried in the lower levels of the facility, Caleb watched a blinking screen. Dream sync initiated. Subject Ziara connected. He leaned forward. A cold drop of sweat rolled down his temple. This wasn't just data. This was a doorway into something forbidden. The simulation began with a soft hum. Ziara stood barefoot, in a dream landscape. Green fields, a warm sky, and the strange orange sun of Earth hanging low on the horizon. She gasped. "What is this?" From behind a tree, Caleb appeared, not in a lab coat but in simple clothes. He looked younger, relaxed, and smiling. "A safe place. A dream we share. You said you wanted to feel what it's like to be human." Ziara looked at her hands. They weren't shaking. Her skin glowed. Her breathing was easy. "I don't feel sick here." Caleb nodded. "That's because here, you're not. Here, your body doesn't decide your worth." They walked together under the sun, their fingers brushing, but not touching. She laughed. A real soft laugh. Then she asked, "Is this what humans feel when they fall in love?" Caleb hesitated. "Not always, but when they do, it often starts with just this. Peace." Back in the real world, alarms blinked on Caleb's console. Unexpected neural spike detected. Genetic activity in patient rising. Cellular regeneration, 1%, 2%. Caleb's eyes widened. Her body was actually healing, in real time. Not in the simulation, in reality. "How?" he whispered. "It's not just emotional. Her biology is reacting to emotional connection. This isn't reproduction, it's revival." In the simulation, Ziara looked toward the setting sun. "If I stay here, will I live?" Caleb turned to her. "No, but maybe if we continue this, you will out there." She took a deep breath and faced him. "Then show me more. Show me everything. How humans love. How they feel. How they fight to live. Even when everyone gives up." Caleb extended his hand. "We'll go as far as you want." She stepped forward, and just before the dream faded, she hugged him. Not for simulation, not for science, but because something real had sparked. In the control room, Caleb watched. The heart monitor. Heartbeat stabilized. Cellular death slowed by 40%. Emotional bond confirmed. He smiled, then froze. Behind him, the door slid open. 2 alien guards stood in the doorway. One of them growled, "Step away from the console, human. You're under arrest for unauthorized biological experimentation." Caleb raised his hands, but his eyes didn't show fear. He just whispered, "Too late, she's already changing." Back in her room, Ziara opened her eyes. She wasn't weak anymore. She sat up fully, and for the first time in her life, she felt alive. Ziara's eyes fluttered, open, but something was different. She wasn't gasping. She wasn't weak. She was breathing strong. For the first time in years, her fingers didn't tremble when she moved. She touched her chest. Her heart was beating faster, stronger. The glow in her skin returned, soft and pale blue. But peace didn't last long. The door to her room slid open with a hiss, and 4 alien guards entered with cold expressions. Behind them stood Director Hernas, his arms folded behind his back. "You disobeyed the rules," he said flatly. Ziara blinked. I didn't leave. I only dreamed." You shared a forbidden simulation, Herna said sharply, with a human, unauthorized, emotionally dangerous, legally criminal. But it healed me, she whispered. I feel alive now. Isn't that what medicine is for? You are a failed hybrid, he snapped. You were not meant to evolve, only expire. That's the law. Meanwhile, deep in the facility's lower level, Dr. Caleb sat in a holding cell. His hands were bound in glowing alien cuffs, and 2 guards stood at the door. But he didn't look afraid. He was thinking. Every second, Zayara's body might be changing. And every second, the leaders wanted her dead before the truth spread. That a human bond could bring life to what they called broken. The door slid open. An alien investigator entered holding a tablet. You broke genetic safety laws. You interfered with a hybrid subject marked for euthanasia. And worst of all, you may have caused her to mutate. Caleb looked up, his voice calm. I didn't cause anything. I only showed her what she already carried. The investigator scoffed. Emotions are not medicine. No, Caleb replied. But belonging is. Back in Zayara's room, 2 guards grabbed her arms. She struggled. Wait, please, test me again. There will be no tests, Herna said coldly. You were given 64 hours. Now you get 6. Zayara's eyes widened. What? Why? Because you violated protocol, he replied. You're now considered emotionally unstable and genetically dangerous. You will be terminated tonight. She felt her knees weaken, but she didn't fall. Instead, she clenched her fists. You're afraid, she said softly. Of what? Herna sneered. Of what I might become. Elsewhere, Caleb's tablet buzzed. An encrypted message somehow sent to his cell console. He quickly hid it from the guards and opened it with a glance. They moved my termination to tonight. I want to run, but I can't do it alone. Please, don't let them erase me. Caleb's heart pounded. She had made her choice. Now it was time to make his. An hour later, as the artificial moon rose over Thalari Prime, a silent alarm was triggered in the south wing. Room 47 was empty. Zayara was gone. Sirens blared. Guards spread out. But what they didn't know was this. The girl they once saw as a dying patient had just crawled through the waste vent, bruised and breathless, and she was heading for the only place she thought he might still be. The visitor, holding cells. In the security command room, Director Hernas watched the panic spread. How did she escape? A guard stuttered. She used the old waste tunnels. No patients ever had the strength to survive that crawl. Because no patient ever had hope, Hernas growled. In the shadows of the lower level, 2 figures finally met. Dirty, coughing, bleeding from cuts. But alive. Zayara and Caleb stood face to face. No words were spoken. Just a single moment. A look that said, we're not done yet. And above them, in the metal halls of a cold and cruel facility, a new order was signed by the council. Subject Zayara is now classified as void. Termination must be completed before sunrise. But sunrise was 6 hours away, and the race to save her life had just begun. The alarms never stopped. Red lights flashed across the cold corridors of the facility. Metal shutters slammed shut in every hallway. Security drones floated through the air, scanning every shadow, every breath. But they couldn't find her. Not. Yet Zayara crouched in a narrow ventilation shaft, her skin scraped and dirty. Her breathing was fast but steady. Her heart no longer felt weak. Her body no longer trembled like glass. She felt something new growing inside her. Strength. Below her, through a small metal grate, she saw the detention floor. Guards paced around a locked chamber. Inside it stood the one person she trusted, the one who didn't see her as broken. Dr. Caleb. He looked up suddenly, like he could feel her watching. Their eyes met. Through steel, distance, and chaos, and, with no words, they both moved at the same time. 15 minutes earlier, Caleb had used a stolen laser shard, smuggled in through a stolen food tray, to break his cuffs. It burned his skin, but it worked. He waited for the right moment, and now it came. When the emergency lights flashed and the guards ran for the upper levels, Caleb slipped out of the cell and into the shadows. Then he heard the softest sound. Metal. Tapping above, he looked up and saw her. Zayara dropped down beside him. Her knees buckled, but she stood tall. "You came," he whispered. She gave a tired smile. "Told you I wasn't done yet." He looked at her, really looked at her. "You're changing, even more." She nodded. "I think." Something inside me woke up. I don't know what it is, but it's not just feelings anymore. They ran through the side tunnels, dark, forgotten maintenance passages used during power failures. Zayara knew the way. She had memorized the blueprints when she was younger, back when she still believed she might live long enough to escape. Now that hope was real. But the facility was one step ahead. As they reached the final exit tunnel, a cold mechanical voice echoed through the halls. "Warning, Sector E will be purged in 10 minutes. All life within will be neutralized." Zayara stopped. "They're sealing the lower sectors." Caleb grabbed her hand. "Then we climb." They found an old vertical shaft, a long, narrow tube lined with broken lights and shaky metal bars. It led straight to the surface. Without hesitation, Caleb started climbing. Zayara followed. Her fingers bled. Her foot slipped once, but he reached down and caught her. "Don't let go," he said. "I won't," she whispered. "I can't." Above them, the surface doors were already opening. But so were the gun chambers. The facility had turned into a war machine. The command came from the top. "Kill the human. Terminate the hybrid. Do not let them leave alive." They reached the final hatch, breathless. Outside, through the glass dome, stars twinkled above the alien city. Freedom was one door away. Caleb pressed the panel. Nothing. "Locked," he said. Panic rising. "Manual overrides gone." Zayara pressed her hand against the glass. Her fingers glowed. Not blue, not silver, but gold, like sunlight. She pressed harder, and the door hissed open. Her DNA had changed. She was no longer just Thaleri, no longer just human. She was something new. As they stepped into the cold night air, Caleb turned back for one last look at the towering white facility behind them. The place that tried to kill her. The place that feared what she could become. Zayara looked up at the stars. "Where do we go now?" she asked softly. Caleb smiled. "Anywhere they don't control." But far behind them, in a dark control room, the director watched silently. "She escaped," one officer said. "No," the director replied, voice tight. "She evolved." And, in his hand, he held a file marked, "Project Dawnblood, terminated too late." The sky above Thaleri Prime was quiet, but the stars were watching. Far from the city, hidden in the ruins of an old medical satellite buried in the desert, Zayara lay on a metal bed, her chest rising slowly. The human jacket Caleb gave her was wrapped tight around her trembling body, but it wasn't weakness anymore. It was transformation. Caleb moved around the dusty lab, connecting old scanners, wiping off years of sand from forgotten equipment. The satellite had once been a secret lab for hybrid testing. Now it was their only safe place. "Almost ready," he said, checking the power supply. "We need answers." Zayara didn't speak. She only stared at her hands. Golden light still moved softly under her skin, like something alive was inside her, learning, changing, growing. She whispered, "I feel everything at once. Sadness, hope, fear, love." Caleb looked at her. "That's humanity." The scanner finally powered on, humming weakly. Caleb connected the biosensors and began the full-body scan. As data began to load, his eyes widened. Cell death, reversed. Immune system, boosted by 600%. Genetic structure, 47% human, 50% Thaleri, 3% unknown. New life form classification, undefined. Caleb leaned back in disbelief. She's not just healing, he whispered. She's becoming something else. Zayara sat up, the golden glow in her eyes growing stronger. What does it mean? Caleb turned the screen toward her. It means your body responded to human emotion like medicine. Your cells took human connection and used it to rewrite your biology. Zayara looked down confused. But we didn't even reproduce? Not physically. No, Caleb said softly. But somehow, your body treated the emotional bond as a trigger. The simulation, the empathy, the closeness. It gave your body a reason to fight. She placed a hand on her stomach. Then why do I feel like something else is growing inside me? Caleb froze. He grabbed a secondary scan module, attached it to her abdomen, and ran it. For a long moment, the machine was silent, then it beeped once. Fetal growth detected. Life form, hybrid. Origin, spontaneous replication triggered by neural fusion. Zayara stared at the screen. There's a baby? Caleb was speechless. No fertilization, no surgery, just replication. You created life from bonding, like your body copied part of me. Zayara looked into his eyes. Her voice was soft. Then I really do carry a miracle, but far away, back at the main facility. The council had picked up the same energy signal from the satellite lab. A cold-eyed alien officer pointed to the hologram. Her body is still active. More than active. It's spreading signals never seen before, the director growled. She's a living beacon now. If that child is born, it could change everything. Orders are clear. Destroy the lab. Eliminate the source. A black drone ship launched into the sky heading for the desert. In the lab, Caleb heard a faint noise from the scanner, an alert he didn't recognize. He checked the signal. Incoming heat signature. His face turned pale. They found us. Zayara stood up slowly, holding the edge of the table. I won't run anymore. You can't fight them, Caleb said. They'll destroy this entire place. Zayara closed her eyes. I don't need to fight them. I just need to show them. Her body began to glow again, brighter now, filling the room with golden light. The energy made machines flicker and hum like they were alive. Her voice echoed through the lab. Not loud, but powerful. I'm not. Thalari, I'm not just human, I'm the bridge between who we were and who we could become. Outside, the drone ship reached the edge of the sky. Inside, a missile locked onto the lab. It launched, and just before it struck, a golden wave burst from the satellite tower like a heartbeat, blinding the drone and crashing its systems. In midair, the ship exploded, but the lab still stood, and inside, Zayara had collapsed into Caleb's arms, breathing hard, but alive. He held her close, whispering, You just saved us. She smiled faintly. No, we saved each other. The desert winds were calm again. Morning light slowly poured over the ruins of the old satellite lab. Sand covered the broken walls, but the heart of the lab still pulsed, because inside it, something new had been born. Zayara slept on the medical bed, wrapped in a soft heat blanket. Her face was peaceful now. No pain, no trembling. In her arms, she held something small, something glowing. A child. The hybrid had formed not through surgery or science, but through emotional connection, something the galaxy never believed had power. But Caleb had believed, and now, that belief had created life. Caleb stood at the lab door, watching the sunrise. His arm was bruised, his coat torn, but his eyes held light. He didn't feel like a doctor anymore, he felt like something more. Behind him, Zayara whispered, Is it morning? He turned and smiled. Yes, and you're both still with me. She looked down at the baby in her arms, skin soft like hers, eyes shaped like his. A little star between two species. It's real, she said softly. It wasn't just a dream. No, Caleb replied. You're living proof. But the peace didn't last long. A high council broadcast buzzed through the old lab's emergency screen. The director's face appeared, cold, stern, but no longer full of pride. He looked straight into the camera. To the human and the hybrid, we see now what we feared. You are not a mistake. You are a mirror. A mirror showing us what we tried to destroy: connection, emotion, evolution. The child you hold is a beginning, not a threat. Caleb watched silently. We will not chase you, not today, but know this: what you have done will ripple across systems. Be ready. Others will come. Not all will be kind. The message ended. Ziara leaned back, exhausted, but glowing with new life. Then we don't run, she said. We build. Caleb raised an eyebrow. Build what? A place, she whispered, where no one like me is ever left to die again. A place where broken doesn't mean worthless. Caleb nodded. Then let this be the start. 1 month. Later, news spread across the outer colonies. A strange signal had been discovered from a forgotten moon. It was not a distress call. It was an invitation to humans, to aliens, to hybrids, to outcasts, to those who had no home. A voice echoed through the stars, Ziara's voice. They told me I was born broken. They gave me a death sentence instead of a future. But one human saw me differently. He gave me time, he gave me choice, he gave me something no machine ever could: hope. And with that, I gave life. The child grew quickly, faster than normal, smarter than expected, kinder than either of them imagined. And when she looked at the stars, she didn't see cold darkness anymore. She saw possibility. She saw herself. In the silence of space, where the universe had once been ruled by logic and law, something new had begun. A family. A miracle. A future born from emotion, not programming. And it all began with a dying alien girl's last wish.